So in the 20s or even teens, sometimes we can start to see changes in our skin, like acne. For myself in my 30s, I got, I really have to focus on an acne routine myself. And it affects men and women in their 40s, 50s, 60s throughout the years. So usually in the mid-20s, we start to see changes like maybe some brown spots or freckles. They might look cute when you're younger from our glory days in the sun, right? Oftentimes we start to develop some smile lines, some bumps to the forehead. These could be, I'm not diagnosing this as educational entertainment here that I share online, but the bumps can often be things like sebaceous hyperplasia or milia or large pores. So we start to see those type of skin changes. And then in the 30s, we have some different life events happening where, professionals, we might be new mothers or new fathers. And then we really start to develop, say, some of the lines between the forehead, across the forehead, crow's feet, deeper smile lines, maybe just the starting of the jowl and the necklines. And then in the 40s, what's really interesting, well, actually, I'd probably say 37 to 42 is generally when I see this kind of like across the board. The thinning of the skin starts to happen. So the loss of elastin and collagen, we're losing a little bit of bone, fat, soft tissue, all of that. And then in our 50s, it's this big turning point where the big life event that women are going through at that point is menopause. There's actually a really great study done that looks at the changes of the face, the shape changes that occur in women versus men. Women's faces change shape 3 times faster than men's between the ages of 50 to 60. So if you're a woman in your 50s, you're looking in the mirror and you're saying, oh, I sort of noticed that things are looking a little different. It's not just you. This is actually a fact. So it's the bone, the fat, the collagen, elastin, all of that is happening. So whatever you can do at home to boost your collagen with healthy lifestyle and beauty routine practices, that's going to go a long way.
It's amazing. I would not have guessed. I mean, I know when I look at my father in particular, I notice that his ears and his nose, the things that we don't want to see are getting bigger. And of course, he's a guy, so he doesn't talk about it. But it's like I've noticed when I look at pictures of my dad when he was 40 versus in his 70s, I'm like, goodness, like, I mean, you watch it happen. And obviously for you, you mentioned you've got this aesthetic eye, so it's probably that much more prominent. So when we're talking about bony changes to the face, I think people are probably not surprised to hear there are skin changes. I think that makes sense. But what are some of the bony changes that occur? I mean, I know when we're looking at probably our jawline, like our mandible and our orbits, where our eyes are, what are some of the things that kind of broad concepts that, our listeners would probably be interested in hearing more about?
I actually had a really great conversation with Dave Asprey on his podcast about, facial aging and all of this. And I'll break it down for you here as well. So our bones that, some of the changes we really see is sort of the sagging to the jawline. So what happens is we're losing volume to the zygomatic bone here. So as the bone degrades, which is a normal part of aging, we lose the scaffolding or support. So the cheek falls. And what's responsible for drooping around the eye area is the opening of the skull, which houses our eye. It starts to get bigger. So that's why we get that recession and that drop.
Interesting.
With our nose, the opening in the skull, which houses the nose, it again gets bigger. So that's why the tissue expands and our nose gets bigger as we age.
It's not fair.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is it doesn't make aging sound very fun, but I have to say my most beautiful patients are women in their 60s and up. Hands down, more gorgeous, just that inner light, that radiance. And I really want to talk about radiance because it's free and anybody can cultivate it. So for the jawline, what happens with our mandible here, it recesses back. So it breaks down. We get this recession backwards. So we lose the support to our jaw, which is why we develop sort of the sag here and the sag down here. And we also lose bone to our maxilla. So when we lose that structure, everything falls. My good friend, who's an oculoplastic surgeon, said, gravity always wins. And it does, but there's so much that we can do to mitigate that bone loss, such as reduced compression when we're sleeping.